If there is one element that Red Bull has consistently managed to perfect, it is the area of race strategy. The squad has been almost without error for as long as the majority of supporters can recall. It is fairly uncommon that you secure a race victory because of a strategic decision. Please do not misunderstand. Such an event does occur, merely it does not occur with great frequency. However, it is exceedingly simple to forfeit a race due to poor strategic planning. You need only inquire with any Ferrari competitor from the last decade. They will inform you of the quantity of podium finishes that have been lost due to perplexing decisions and overlooked chances. Unfortunately for Red Bull, the individual responsible for orchestrating many of their most triumphant races has chosen to transition to another organization. Today, I will examine how McLaren has finalized a major acquisition by securing Will Courtenay, and what the experience was like from within one of the most notable contract narratives in recent Formula One chronicles. Therefore, please remain tuned. An ordeal ends. Completing acquisitions in Formula One is never a straightforward undertaking. There exist non-compete agreements, periods of gardening leave, and a greater number of contract stipulations than one could wave a highly costly pen at, all of which must be navigated. Drivers present a significant challenge, but concerning factory personnel, it operates on a wholly other scale. For the highest-ranking employees, it is not unusual for contract disagreements to proceed to litigation as squads endeavor to have their new staff members commence work for them at the earliest opportunity. Adrian Newey served as a very current illustration of this when he departed Red Bull for Aston Martin and initiated legal action against Red Bull to circumvent his gardening leave. An action he has previously undertaken with other occupational transitions as well. The most recent Red Bull staff member who has been compelled to contend his way out of contractual clauses to facilitate a move to his new team is Will Courtenay. Courtenay has obtained an early termination from his Red Bull agreement to assume the sporting director position at McLaren, concluding a prolonged narrative that risked keeping the strategy specialist inactive until the middle of 2026. The 22-year veteran of Red Bull declared his new role via LinkedIn, bringing one of the paddock's most attentively monitored contract conflicts to a close after his former team principal's organization initially declined to release their head of strategy. "I am pleased to announce that I will be taking up a new position as sporting director at McLaren Racing," stated Courtenay. Courtenay's accession signifies a major achievement for Andrea Stella's squad. His 15 years of directing Red Bull's race strategy, encompassing their dominant phases under Adrian Newey's aerodynamic excellence, will supply McLaren with extremely valuable understanding of their competitors' tactical methods. This transition has been a widely known secret since 2024. Yet the hesitation to release such a pivotal person risked forcing McLaren to wait for a considerably longer duration. Having been announced during the summer break 2 years prior, Courtenay has spent a year and a half on the sidelines, observing his former team disintegrate while his new employer has prospered. However, the teams have now concurred to a release that is earlier than anticipated. After 22 years at Red Bull Racing, including the last 15 as head of race strategy, I am delighted to say that I am now taking on a new challenge and joining the McLaren Formula One team as sporting director, Courtenay elaborated in his announcement. "I want to say a huge thank you to everyone I worked with at Red Bull. I made so many great friends there, and I hope I will see many of you in the paddock many more times. It was 2 incredible decades, but now I look forward to settling into my new position and team, and hopefully making many more new friends while doing my utmost to help McLaren continue its recent success in the years to come," Courtenay finished, detailing his aspirations for the Woking-based team's future endeavors. Courtenay will answer to McLaren Racing Director Randep Singh as the Woking-based team aims to commence Formula One's new regulatory period with an advantage, entering a season as both the defending drivers and constructors champions for the first instance since 1999. Courtenay will be assuming responsibility for Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri at McLaren. In Oscar, he will encounter a man who has endured a similarly distressing contract narrative. Piastri indeed discussed that unbelievable circumstance involving Alpine and McLaren in the summer of 2022. Before I discuss that, however, if you desire to receive all the news and examination as the new Formula One cars are unveiled over the coming weeks, then ensure to press the like button and subscribe to Full Throttle, the Alpine Saga. Thank you very much. In 2022, Oscar Piastri published a tweet that would become part of Formula One lore. It was a revealing instant that displayed the chaos occurring behind the scenes when Alpine announced that Piastri was substituting for Fernando Alonso for the 2023 season. There was not an enormous amount of enthusiasm. Alpine were a firmly midfield team, and Piastri was replacing the Renault legend as a comparatively unfamiliar rookie. Nevertheless, he immediately captured the affection and support of Formula One fans globally when he tweeted to state that Alpine had announced he would be driving for them in 2023 without his authorization, and that, in reality, he would not be driving for them. For a veteran Formula One driver to do that would have been astonishing. For a driver seeking his very first Formula One seat, it was madness. On a recent installment of Off the Grid, Piastri discussed that entire saga. "It was certainly a tough time," Piastri remarked on the episode recorded in November. "Naturally, as a racing driver, you want to go racing. That year, not racing was tough, definitely. It did allow me to view some things from the outside a little bit easier, being part of a weekend, understanding what media commitments are going to be like, what the sponsor commitments are going to be like, just the general rhythm of the season. I learned a few things about that, but it was a tough time. I always kind of took pride in the fact that I was doing everything that I could, and I was always confident that something would come up." Fortunately for Oscar, he had more than a single opportunity arise. Alpine was confronting a dilemma with 3 skilled drivers for 2 seats, as Piastri was an evident candidate alongside existing drivers Fernando Alonso and Esteban Ocon. Alpine contemplated loaning Piastri to Williams until it became known that Alonso would be transferring to Aston Martin. The team then proclaimed its protégé's elevation to a race seat, which the young driver formally refuted. "I understand that without my agreement, Alpine F1 have put out a press release late this afternoon that I am driving for them next year," he wrote. "This is wrong, and I have not signed a contract with Alpine for 2023. I will not be driving for Alpine next year." It transpired that Piastri had already signed a contract with McLaren, and the FIA's Contract Recognition Board decided in the Papaya team's favor. What rendered the circumstance more intriguing was Alonso's contract. The 2-time world champion appeared destined for Aston Martin for months before the contract was formally announced. It was ultimately announced just as a contract clause in Oscar's agreement permitted him to sign with another team. It will perpetually be a query. Did Alonso intentionally delay to create complications for Alpine, to assist Oscar, or simply to generate the disorder he appears to relish? "I kind of knew that it was going to be a pretty big story," Oscar smiled. "There were reasons for doing that. It was not just me going out of my way to announce to the world that I am not racing. I mean, I certainly look back on it now with some laughs. Definitely at the time it was not so funny. It obviously went to the CRB. Things were in my favor, but that was another pretty tense moment." This resulted in Oscar making his Formula One debut with McLaren, not Alpine, in 2023. That was an incredible moment. Then also it kind of hits you that everything you have done previously almost does not matter now. He observed that it proved to be 100% the right choice. In that 2022 season when the Piastri contract situation developed, Alpine were the superior of the 2 teams. They secured 4th place in the Constructors' Championship, 14 points ahead of McLaren, but the positions would soon invert. McLaren would accumulate more than double the points of Alpine in 2023. In 2024, McLaren were Constructors' champions while Alpine had merely 65 points before the French team ended in last place in 2025. And it was not even a close contest. At Alpine, Oscar would have been squandered. But at McLaren, he has thrived. And if they can produce another outstanding car next season, then he will be directly in the contest for a first Drivers' Championship once more. Do you believe he can accomplish it next season? Can you imagine how wasted he would have been at Alpine? Inform me of your opinions in the comments below. And until next time, drive safely and goodbye for now.